there's a story behind that. It's a really cool story, kind of crazy, and this is one of the times where you can attribute stubbornness to my many qualities. When I first introduced Werelove to the Writers Workshop group that I'm in and I'm part of, it was just after NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month. That's what that acronym stands for, Nano for short. I had just spent 30 days of intense writing and produced the first 9.5 chapters of the book. So I took it to the Writers Workshop group, and Nelson, Grandpa Williams, as he was affectionately known, Grandpa Williams, was in charge of the Writers Workshop group. And when I brought in the first chapter of Werelove, he arched that eyebrow and he said, "Oh, you've brought something new." Now, you have to understand that I had been a part of this Writers Workshop group since 2004. And for a little bit of time between 2005 and 2008, my personal life was a complete mess. Lots of crazy stuff going on. And so I was very, very seldom at the Writers Workshop group. Like I was in the beginning when I first met them in 2004. So when I started to come back in 2008, it was right before the Nano, which was in November, I started coming back because I not only was I writing again on Moonbeams, which is another book altogether, but I was gearing up for Nano, and I had made up my mind that I was going to do this friendly online contest where the goal was to write 50,000 words in 30 days. Yeah, lots of pressure. And so I had set this goal for myself because I was coming out of the darkness in my life, and I wanted to do something positive with myself and with my writing. And I wanted to get back to my writing because it made me feel good. So he was, Nelson was a little bit skeptical because my previous track record was really spotty at best. I would start something, get 1 to 2 chapters into it, and then stop and go to the next thing that crossed my mind. And so Nelson was very, very skeptical when I came in on the first meeting of the first Friday of December 2008, and I said, "Oh, guess what? I've got 9.5 chapters," and I was totally stoked with myself for even getting 9.5 chapters. And Nelson, like I said, arched that eyebrow, and he looked at me and he goes, "Indeed," and I, was kind of miffed by the attitude, and I said, "Oh, please, you should be excited. This is the most I've written in years." And he looked me straight in the eye and says, "I'm glad you wrote something, Keisha, but you'll never finish anything before I die. I'll be waiting on you forever. You're never going to get anything done, writing-wise. You'll never, finish a first draft of anything." Well, anyone that knows me knows I definitely love a challenge. So I was a little angry at first. Don't get me wrong, it really was. And it was more of a, "How dare you say this to me? I just spent 30 days going insane, wrote 40,496 words, and you're going to tell me that I'm never going to finish it, and that it's, I'm just basically wasting my time." And it ticked me off enough that I decided to prove him wrong, that I could finish a first draft, and what did he really know about me? So from December 2008 through July 31st, 2009, I lived, breathed, slept, dreamed, ate, went delusional, and came back again full circle and wrote Werelove. It was the first draft I had completed of anything. It ended up being 6,300 some words. Yeah, it was a nice, big, meaty novel. And while I was writing, I consistently, took the required page numbers to the Writers Workshop group and had them, critique it. And then when I penned my last word on July 31st, it was like this weight was lifted, and I was in shock and amazed and scared all at once, because oh my god, I had finished a book. So the following week was our first meeting of the month. We meet bi-weekly. We meet, the first and I think third Fridays. And so I totally freaked out by the fact that I had, finished this. And Nelson and another member had been my sole critiquers, and it was kind of crazy. So when I came in that day, that Friday, I came in with the last chapter in my hand. I walked up to Nelson and I went, pop, put it on the table, and I said, "See, I can finish something." He picks up his copy of the final pages, arches that eyebrow, and goes, "I'm impressed, but don't get cocky. Use is only $1." So that's the story behind that. And what makes this memory so bittersweet is that after he read the last chapter and we came back to meet for the next meeting, he came and was acting a little unusual for Nelson, and people that know him best knows that he was very blunt, very to the point. You didn't see him acting really youthful like a kid, but he came to the meeting and he was like, here's your stuff, and I liked it, and hey, you should have space rockets, and he was talking really strangely, and then he left. Actually, this occurred like a couple of months after it. I think it was like around September, October. But he left after the meeting and he went home, and he ended up being rushed to the hospital, and he died a few days later. So this memory is very bittersweet. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed, but it was he definitely knew that I had done something that he didn't think I could do, and that I didn't think I could do. So without Nelson, this book would not have come about at all. So for that, I'm very grateful that I had somebody behind me push me and not give up on me and not let me give up on me. So definitely this one is dedicated to his memory, because without him there wouldn't have been a Werelove, there wouldn't have been a Jules, and I'd still definitely be spinning my wheels and not finishing anything, because Nelson knew me well enough to know that I needed motivation, whether it was a really sarcastic retort or some of his infamous eyebrow raising. He knew how to bring out the best in writers, and so Nelson, this one was definitely for you. And I'm also going to keep another promise. He really liked my fantasy story, Moonbeams, which was the one I first introduced the group to in 2004. It's also one that it's not been finished, but my goal for this year is to complete the first draft of Moonbeams, because he really, really loved the characters in that one. And that's going to be, oh wow, that one's going to be a whole nother episode. But